Hi, I'm Kelsey Zeiser with Light Reading, and we're here at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, and I'm joined by Tom with EY. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Kelsey.
So you recently got a new position, Global Telecommunications Leader. What does that position entail, and how are you helping telecommunications providers with their digital transformations?
Yeah, so within EY, Global Telecommunications Lead means that I'm responsible for all the services that we provide to telecommunications companies. It means that I work with teams to make sure that we identify the most pressing challenges for them, and then that we organize to help them solve those. And then there is 4 big types of work that we do. So we do assurance, we do transaction advisory services, we do advisory, and then we help them also with tax services. So that's the overall setting. And then in terms of helping them with the digital transformations, there's I guess 4 elements that we're really looking at. So the first thing is that we say with the digital technologies which are available, just applying them in the existing context and in the existing structures doesn't really help. So we really work with clients to help them rethink how they could be a better company, whether that is in terms of the products and services that they provide, or whether that is in terms of how they run their own company. So one element is really helping them rethink. Second element is really to look at how do we use these exponential technologies, these digital technologies, to make them grow. So to very specifically look at which entries they can get in new markets. Third element is that we say, well, you can do all these things, but it's super relevant to have a good return on these things. So EY very much takes a financial angle to every initiative to make sure that there is a proper business case. And the fourth element, which is becoming increasingly important, is that we say, well, when you do these things, you have to do that in what we call a responsible way. So you have to make sure that there is trust in the kind of services that you provide, that there is trust in the way that you operate, that you do it in a secure way, that you do that in line with regulation. So those are like the key elements that we really focus on.
Okay, so helping them from the technical side, cultural, financial, all those different areas.
Yes.
So how do you foresee helping them with the challenges that might arise from 5G deployments, AI, robotic process automation?
Yeah, those are the big topics and the big opportunities, we believe, if you exploit them well. So 5G, there is many elements to it, right? The rollout and how you do that in a fast way, in a financially responsible way. The key thing we believe for success for 5G lies in how much enterprises will embrace what 5G will allow them to do. And 5G will clearly provide them with more speed of data, but we believe that the more important element is that it will allow them to basically connect everything, whether it's objects, assets, whether it's people, and with that, many industries will be able to completely transform themselves. And so what is really, really relevant is to make sure that you understand the industries really well, to come up with not just, being the company that provides a little connection to all these smart things, but really help those industries think through how they could leverage the opportunities which 5G is giving to them. I think AI, so maybe stepping back a little bit, we look at 5G and the things it brings, AI, RPA, big data, we all put them together and don't look at them separately. And we look at the mix of those things to say, how can they help companies become better companies? And 5G, I just spoke about the importance of making sure that you make it relevant to industries. On AI, and I guess also on RPA, we very much take the approach where we say, so how can you influence business outcomes? How can you shorten processes? How can you be more relevant to your client? How can you delight clients more by using these technologies? So we very much take an outcome and then working backwards approach to identify where these technologies will really have a maximum benefit to the companies where it's getting applied.
Okay, so we talked a lot about RPA, AI, 5G. Yeah. What are some areas where it's going to be important for service providers to invest in 2019?
Yeah, so investing in 5G, and I would say, we spoke about technologies. So yes, they would need to invest in those technologies, and not just by buying the technology and working with the providers. I would say they would also need to raise their own competence and understanding of these technology, because these technologies will only become more important. So being a company that sort of excludes themselves of really understanding AI, I think would not be a very smart move. Similarly in RPA, you need to build these competencies and proficiency in those areas, definitely. I guess related to this, the other one which is really important is to make sure that the way that they go to market, the way that they sell, when you think about 5G and the IoT related opportunities to that, they really need to be on being good in articulating what business value is there, need to be really good in articulating how the solutions that they provide will help those industries actually get the benefit from those solutions. So I would say investing in talent, investing both in technology understanding, but at least as important, understanding the industries and being able to articulate business value, to articulate business propositions, to follow through with sometimes complex contracting with multiple partners. I think that's really important for them to spend management time and money to accomplish that.
So having really clear messaging around their strategy is going to be important.
Super important, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you predict the changing regulatory market in the US and Europe and UK might impact service providers this year?
Yeah, it's a good question, right? Because that's going to be an important one, which is going to drive profitability and speed of the roll of the 5G. So our observation is that US is leading in 5G. If we do our own analysis, we come to the conclusion that they're much farther ahead, that the companies, the big ones, are already introducing 5G, and then there is Asia, and sort of Europe is lagging behind. Clearly, the scale at which many of the European telcos operate, it doesn't help them to do these kind of investments and get to proper returns. So I would imagine, and you can increasingly see the conversation happening also at national and even European level, to say if we want to be a player which is relevant also in 2-3 years from now, we probably should allow for consolidation to happen. So I would expect that to continue, and I would expect to see more of that being allowed. I think the T-Mobile Tele2 acquisition is an example of where there was actually relatively limited questions asked about it, so I would expect that to happen.
Okay. Any other key takeaways from this year's show, or big differences you saw between this year and last year?
Well, there was one funny one. Maybe I should start with that.
I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I like the funny one, which was like everybody's talking about low latency, about you can do surgery somewhere remote, and you can do like connected cars. But I never thought about the importance of low latency when you have one person playing the keyboard here, and then 10 houses away you have somebody drumming, and it's still in sync. I'm a musician besides my professional career, so I thought that was interesting, no? Because in the music, you got to be like also perfectly in sync and no latency. So I thought that
was one you could really relate to.
I like that. That appealed to me. And no, I think the other thing is actually something which maybe wasn't so prominently here, and that is that as I said, in everything that you're going to do in 5G and IoT, the amount of data which is going to be generated, the amount of insights that you get, it's going to be much more detailed. It's going to be much more of that data, and I would have expected more conversation to be about how do we deal with that data in a secure, compliant, but also in a way that customers trust us, that we would need to. I saw little of that, honestly, and the number of conversations where that was a big topic was actually limited. So I had expected that to be more. So it's maybe something which wasn't here, which struck my attention a little bit more than and I saw the security solutions, like securing the device, and so, but I think it's a much broader topic of how do you deal with data in a responsible way beyond maybe just applying to the rules.
Yeah, so maybe next year we'll hear more about data analytics.
Well, I think it would be good.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.